Hi everyone, I'm Paul from Mega. I'm Product Marketing Director, and I would like to welcome you for this roundtable dedicated to business process management and process mining. And ours is to practice support business transformation. And today I'm with three new guests, and the first one is Cédric. Hi Cédric.
Hello, I'm Cédric Lourouzeau. So thank you, Paul and Mega, for inviting me for this panel. I'm the VP of Alliance and Partners for Mined Process Mining, which is a leader and a star performer, according to Forrester Analyst, for process mining solution.
Thank you, Cédric. And we also are with Daniel Page from ACCO.
Thank you, Paul. So I'm Daniel Page. I'm a senior SAP project manager at ACCO. We are a leader in agriculture industry with brands like Massey Ferguson, Fendt, or Valtra, and we are implementation all around the globe, delivering a solution farmer-focused.
Great. And my colleague Fabrice.
Hi, I'm Fabrice Villa from Mega International since more than 15 years now. I'm a consulting director in charge of deploying our solution and assist our customer about BPM approach and also enterprise architecture. I'm also in charge of the business consulting team for French operation.
Great. So thank you all and welcome again. So we will talk about business transformation. And you all know that organizations face multiple events like crisis, business opportunities, regulatory changes, and organizations need to adapt and plan the changes. So we are talking about business transformation. Okay, and one of the use case of business transformation, one of these transformation may be the deployment of new solutions, for example, ERP solutions. And I think this is precisely the case for ACCO. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, Paul. So we, as part of our global methodology to implement our, I would say, global template solution as a SAP solution, we definitely rely on the BPM approach. So the key here is that with BPM, first of all, we are not delivering purely an IT solution, but we are definitely delivering business processes to our internal customer, means most of the people in the manufacturing sites in ACCO.
So Daniel, could you please explain us your project and the context, the impact on the existing activities and the scope, for example?
We are implementing SAP globally. So ACCO has multiple sites, manufacturing sites around the world. And we are implementing SAP in order to standardize our best practices, processes. The idea as well is most of the case we replace legacy solutions and we try to adjust to the top of the art processes that we define globally for our company.
Right. If there are any specificities for each site or?
Yes, so actually we have, I would say, dedicated sites depending on the type of product. Of course, we have as well very specific requirements depending on the country, the market, on the region. So our project is cross-functional and cross-regions as well. We are, at the end of the day, we want to achieve one global solution, giving full transparency for all our operations around the world.
Okay, that's pretty clear. I think now we will talk about business process management. Fabrice, could you maybe tell us more about that practice?
Yeah, I'm sure you all know about this, but just a few reminders. When we talk about business process management, it's really a formal approach. It's an approach with a formal description and analysis of the business processes in order to improve them, obviously understand them before, improve them, transfer them, optimize them, secure them, and monitor them. So it's really based on the important concept, which is the value chain. So we need to understand from the request, from the processes to to the services that need to be delivered, what are the different sequence of activity and added value that makes this value chain. And it's very important by defining those business process that it has to be transversal. That means you should break the silos. It should not be limited to one department, the other. It should be as stable as possible and not taking into consideration too much IT constraints, even if it's the purpose of your project, but it has to be stable, transversal, and business-oriented. And obviously, when you describe them, you need to understand what parts, stakeholders are involved in producing these activities, what are the documents, the output that you need, and obviously what are the IT resources that you need to perform your business. So it is a really important prerequisite to transform, because you need to understand before transforming. And this is what we're going to talk about with Daniel.
Thank you, Fabrice. Daniel, I go back to you in your SAP deployment project. I know that you used a business process management approach for this project. What was your main objectives, or the objectives for this project?
So thanks for asking, and I completely align with what Fabrice just said before. Actually, we rely on BPM, business process management, to support, I would say, our communication mainly with the business. I mean, we are not implementing an IT solution. For a key success factor for such ERP implementation is that we deliver solution to the business. We are not delivering IT solutions. Of course, IT supports the business processes, but the key focus is on the business needs, business processes. And with BPM, we are able to talk to business with a common language. That's definitely the bridge between what the IT solution can deliver and what are the requirements from the business to be supported.
Okay. And what about the challenge? The challenge you made during this project and with business process management?
Yeah, so of course, such project, you have many challenges. First of all, I would say is the key point here is that you need to somehow educate your teams to deliver such business processes, modeling, and which type of artifacts and so on you need to use and leverage to communicate, creating the diagrams and so on. So that requires, I would say, some educations. You need to switch from a more IT-oriented culture to a more business process culture. So that's the first challenge. The second one is business process modeling is great. You at the end, it provides you a documentation. But delivering only one documentation at the end of the project is not enough. So that's why actually you need truly to take into consideration using a tool to support your business process management activities. Otherwise, it's a dead end, I would say. It stayed there on the shelf, and no one is looking backward to this. You need to have a tool allowing you to leverage whatever documentation you have delivered in the past and compare to what is your new project and having comparison. In addition, one of the key benefits using such type of tool in the context of a SAP implementation, you can at that time use them for your security perspective, defining the roles of who needs which type of transactions or who is owner of which processes. And in addition, all along your project, you can identify what are the test cases you need to test to validate your solution, and as well which type of training, which role requires for the go live.
So Daniel, how did you do to model your business process? I mean, more specifically.
So the first step is definitely to elaborate what we call a business process hierarchy. So that was somehow one of the foundation for the project, and starting from there. Whenever we want to implement our solution in a specific site, we leverage our business processes, already existing business processes. We present them to the business. And based on this presentation, we expect our colleagues from the business to raise questions or more specific requirements. And this, I would say, bundle of new requirements, questions, and so on. Now, our job is more to see how we can fulfill these requirements, answer these questions, and translate at the end the to-be processes, taking care of, I would say, our best practices, as well as this new requirement that needs to be incorporated to our solution in a to-be solution for this specific site. And we then describe this, the to-be process, relying on the business process management and business process management notations, BPM 2.0. And with this tool, the business can somehow project themselves in the to-be processes, understanding better the connections between processes. We are not only delivering a silo process for, I would say, purchasing or logistics and so on. All processes in I would say now needs to communicate. We are sharing data. Each process needs to be triggered by other actions coming from other colleagues and processes and so on. So all of this needs to be described to better understand what is the upstream processes before the one I'm supposed to execute, on what could be the consequences as well for the downstream processes whenever I'm delivering a data or an activity as part of my company. And of course, one of the key aspects for this is how much time it requires, the effort required to deliver such type of documentation and explanations to the business.
Okay, that's very interesting. And that's for ACO context. But maybe, Fabrice, there are some, what would be the benefit? What are the benefits and we can expect from a business process management for every use case?
Yes, before talking about benefit, I would add to complete Daniel's answer that the biggest challenge is to get this process view, this comprehensive process view, which is shared by everybody. And this is the biggest challenge. Once you reach it, and when I say which is shared by everybody, it has to be understood by business stakeholders, by IT stakeholders, by people from different domains, geographic, etc. And this is the biggest challenge. Once you have it, it's really a powerful tool to start to deploy use cases. You can manage your organization through process, obviously by following KPIs which are shared by everybody in terms of definition, but also the scope of this KPI. It's also a very good prerequisite to optimize, transform, and standardize. And I think this is what you've done thanks to your successful project. It's also a very, very good point to start understanding how these processes could be compliant, so to analyze the risk, to understand the impact with the compliance. And this is for me, in my opinion, the most interesting benefit. But to get to this global view, it's a lot of work, because you need to work with subject matter experts. This is what you said, to interview people, to document the process, to document the reality. Is the reality really the reality? This is what they think. Maybe the reality is a little bit different. And also it's time consuming. So if you have some accelerator, this could help. And as it is time consuming and it is some workload to be done, it takes time. And at the end, process might have been changed after this time. So processes are changing every day. So we need to be faster. And this is one of the key points in my opinion. And maybe Cedric has something to propose today.
Effectively, Fabrice, yes, we've been contacting with a lot of customers to ask us how to accelerate the documentation of processes. And with Mineit, we can do this.
But could you tell us more about process mining? What is it?
Yeah, sure. So I think process mining is a revolution in the world of business process management. It helps, to look at the factual information of how people are executing processes. We have a solution, it's a software, will enable the customers or any organization to extract the logs from the ERPs or other system. It can be SAP, it can be Info, it can be Salesforce. And then when we get this event log, we have an algorithm to translate this log into a visual view of the end-to-end process with all the strengths of the process and also the weaknesses. So we're able to spot very quickly the bottlenecks, the time lapse, and the best practices. Okay, so I think it's very important for Daniel also to consider how we could add process mining to your mix, because you can have a factual view of what is really happening in your organization, across your organization, and in different dimensions.
That's for the purpose of process mining, but what kind of use cases are covered by this practice?
Yes, very good question. So the generic use case that we see in the market currently is that a lot of our customers are using it for internal audit purposes. The ability to see what people are doing, if they are following the internal procedures, because you might have people who are doing activities that are not supposed to be doing, such as, I'll give you an example, like flagging FTEs who are doing generating an invoice and doing the payment at the same time. That's not really compliant, and in a lot of industry you need to flag it and stop it and put something in place, like a Chinese wall. The second use case is, of course, business process optimizations, ability to visualize the existing process and to automatically flag where to intervene in order to normalize, standardize, eliminate, automate the process to make it efficient. And then the third one is continuous improvement, because it's not only to implement a process and to optimize it, but we know the reality of any business. You have to adapt to change. And the way we're moving now, we need to be proactive in order to analyze trends, and we've added artificial intelligence and machine learning in our solution now to be able to provide recommendation based on historical data to adapt where to change the process. So that's quite important.
Okay, great. I think that's pretty clear. Daniel, regarding your context, do you think that process mining would have been interesting for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in the context of documenting existing processes, having as well the opportunity to simulate and compare processes to perform continuous improvements in the situation of moving constraints from the market, from the environment, and so on. It's really key, and that's as well one more, I would say, argument to support the business process management, and as well introducing process mining.
Okay, great.
And I can see, Daniel, it would help you also, because you will base your decision based on factual data. And that's very important, because we know that the way you model processes sometimes is based on people's experience and people's interpretations, and you're not getting the right level of quality sometimes to build and design what could be the best practices.
Yeah.
So it would have been very useful for you, and maybe it will be the case in the future. Don't know what is the situation today for your project.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And your ambitions for the future.
So good point, Paul. Actually, at ACO, we are extending our BPM, I would say, footprint. We are, for each new project, we are leveraging this BPM approach. And we are already looking at process mining solutions to support us in the context of already implemented solutions and processes. We want to have a better understanding of these processes. So for the business itself to understand where these processes could be optimized, but as well to support, I would say, the maintenance of these processes and giving clear picture of what exactly happening in our solutions on our processes.
Daniel, A few minutes ago, you mentioned the necessity to have a tool to support the business process management approach. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I have a long experience with BPM, and years ago, I would say we started some pilots on using BPM approach, notations, and so on. So it's a lot of work. I mean, whatever is the solution at the end, it's a lot of work and the commitment from the team to describe your processes with diagrams and so on. And as a matter of fact, without a tool, you end up with a diagram and that's it. With the tool, the power of the tool is, first of all, you create a common repository of all your processes, and then you can extract these processes, compare these processes. You have data to work with. And in addition, with a tool in the current context of global team all around the world, you can share objects, you can work on the same processes independently if you are from US, from Europe, or wherever else. You can look at the same process at the same time and make sure that you have a consistent way of describing your process and exploiting as well this data.
Okay. Before ending the session, I would like to ask you the question on the key success factor for a successful business process management initiative, and of course for a process mining project. Maybe we can start with Fabrice regarding business process management for a global use case.
The key factor of success. First of all, I would say that to get this business process view is quite a challenge, and you need to have a sponsor, somebody such as Daniel, who can promote the approach internally, to communicate about the approach so everybody could be aligned about this global vision, which is the most important in this kind of approach.
Okay, strong sponsor.
Yeah, strong sponsor. The second one would be that as it takes a lot of time, it's very difficult to justify the ROI of this approach, and every accelerators are welcome to help that. And process mining, other accelerator, process mining, one of the most, I would say, modern and important. And for me, it's quite a good important technology to accelerate this project and to justify that you spend less time understanding, describing, and it's more concrete and close to reality. I could say also that for our consultant working on project, it's also a very good thing not to start with a blank page, because the blank page, everybody is scared about the blank page starting project. And the last one would be, I would say, communication and governance. That means that it's not only a matter of documenting things, it is a matter of managing things through this documentation, which is quite different. And with that, you can justify without any difficulty the interest of this approach.
Oh, that's great. Daniel, what's your opinion on that point?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm fully supporting all benefits raised by Fabrice. In addition, I would say the tool, starting with a tool is one of the key aspects as well. Again, I'm repeating myself, but having the right tool to not putting that information, on only some documents where you cannot make it evolving in the future, adapting then later on your processes and so on, is one of the key aspects. The other part of it is making sure that you have everyone on board with this approach. So it takes time, for sure, but everyone needs to understand the benefit of it. I mean, the business itself, and I think they are the one who are sometimes not the hardest one to be convinced, but they finally get the benefit of it looking at what they are today, and in the future with process mining as well, they will be able to see even more interest in the approach. And from an IT perspective, it has multiple impacts, positive impact at the end. And that's where as well communication, training, and not only from the tool, but somehow the paradox. You need to train people, provide them the tool, and as soon as they manage appropriately the tool, they need to understand what is the methodology from BPM, how to break down your processes, how to see, the integration between processes as well, having the same level of detail for each, I would say, domain on the business functions. That's one of the key aspects as well to me.
Okay. And Cédric, what are the key success factors for a process mining project?
Yeah, so for me, I think what's important, based on my experience, is that this project is driven by a business owner. I mean, I really relay what Daniel just said. Somebody who has KPI to achieve, using a process mining solution to try to understand what is happening and what is the journey to achieve those KPI is very important. Second of all, process mining is a software project, so we need to have IT involved. It's important to involve IT as well as the business team, as well as the SME that understand the process, but also the people who have access to the technology, access to the data, to make it available for us to integrate it and analyze it. Because it might be a continuous process. We might add different data sources in order to add more visibility and transparency on the processes. And the third one, of course, is access to the SME, because we need to understand the process context. As you said, you might have different interaction between teams, between different geographies, between different departments, and we need to have access to this data, and the system then will make it available and you'll be able to make sense out of it. But the SME will tell you, okay, this is important to look at, and this is not so important to look at because of your business objective. So that's the three different items that I would advise to look at.
So thank you all for your answers. My key takeaway is that business process management shift from pure documentation to process governance and optimization. And practice like process mining will help process decision makers to understand how processes are executed and will help accelerate business process management projects. Thank you all. You have been great, and the discussion was very interesting, and I'm sure it will be useful for our audience.